Okay, then without further ado, let's jump right into it. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for attending our 2025-26 presidential candidate election. So, a bit through what we're going to go through. We'll give the candidates all an opportunity to speak, give their speeches, to explain their campaign, what they're standing behind and standing for. And after this process, then we're going to go into a bit of a Q&A between candidates, between myself and the candidates, and then we'll open the floor to any of you if you guys wanted to ask questions either in the chat. We do have a Q&A section, so you should be able to ask anonymously, and you could just do it in the general chat if you'd prefer as well. But yeah, feel free to ask your questions. We have Ishan helping us moderate that as well. Um, so then, yeah, we'll be able to answer your questions, and hopefully you'll learn a little bit about how we want to structure our organization for the next year. So we'll start with our VP candidates. So I will first start with Melody.
All right, hello everyone. So I'm Melody, and I'm running to be your next vice president. At the heart of everything I do is you, what you want, what makes this club fun for you, and what we can make it better for you. Do you want more merch? Well, we can definitely do that. I'm pushing for earlier designs and releases so you can vote on your favorite design and rep your UTTO pride across campus during the school year. Casual hangouts after training? Absolutely. Whether it's filming reels, grabbing snacks, or just hanging out on campus, I want to make space for those spontaneous, fun moments that bring us closer together. Collaborations with other clubs, 100%. I'd love to plan more joint events with clubs like Karate Club and Mersivity, and maybe even show them who the better martial art is. Competitions, I'll be on the sidelines cheering you on. And if we get the chance to travel for competitions, I'd love to help coordinate those opportunities and make the experience smooth, fun, and memorable for everyone. And of course, socials. Whether you're into our formal galas or chill study sessions, I want to make sure there's something for everyone. This club is about more than just training. It's about the people you meet, the memories you make, and the community we build together. For those of you on the executive team or thinking of joining next year, I want to help things run smoother. This means clear communication, consistent biweekly general meetings, and focused team check-ins in between. With a more structured schedule, deadlines will feel manageable and no one gets left in the dark. We all know balancing academics with extracurriculars can be hectic, so let's support each other and run this club as a team. Whether you're here for fun, competition, or friendship, I want you to be heard, feel appreciated, and be excited to be a part of UTTO. So let's grow together and make this our best year yet. Thank you.
Thank you, Melody. Well said, well said. We'll pass it off next to our candidates, Queenie and Devin. You guys can go through your speeches now.
Okay, so hi everybody. You guys know me. I'm Devin. I'm one of your instructors, and I'm running with Queenie to be your guys' co-presidents for next year. So a little bit about me first. I am a second degree black belt with over 14 years of Taekwondo experience and over 5 years of teaching experience. And as I mentioned earlier, over the past year, I've had the honor of being one of your UTTO instructors. And I've been able to watch and help many of you guys grow in Taekwondo. And I'm going to pass it now to Queenie for her to explain a bit about herself.
Hi, I'm Queenie. I'm a fourth degree black belt with experience in multiple Taekwondo styles, WT, ITF, and Kukkiwon. I've been teaching for 6 years, and for Devon, I was also an instructor for UTTO this past year. I've taught in 2 campuses, and I also served as UTTO's Director of Sponsorships. Looking ahead, our platform is simple. We want to focus on development, community, and opportunity. I'll hand it back to Devon.
So I'm going to first talk about development for you guys. Between me and Queenie, we are absolutely committed to making sure that UTTO students continue growing. Whether you're just starting your Taekwondo journey, you're preparing for black belt testing or competitions, and we want to maintain high standards of excellence for our instructors to ensure that classes stay fun, challenging, and effective. Furthermore, we're going to standardize curriculum and terminology and ideally provide videos so that every student has clear expectations of their testing and curriculum. Next up is our opportunity for you. So we want to create more chances for you guys to compete. We're talking about local tournaments, intra-club competitions, and possibly even nationals. We're committed to working together more closely with Okta to host training camps, mini tournaments, and social events with other universities in the Toronto area. I'm going to pass it back to Queenie to talk a bit about community.
Okay, finally about community, because UTTO is more than just a club. We will continue our most successful events like Work Hard, Play Hard and Octa gatherings. We'll collaborate more with other clubs like the U of T grappling event that Deven organized, and U of T karate is already in the works. There will also be opportunities for general members to help with our outreach events like UTS. I'm also very excited to announce a buddy system within the executive team. So each director will be paired with another executive buddy, someone who's interested in that department and can assist when schedules get tight. Because we don't want leaders who burn out, we want leaders who burn brighter. Because UTTO at its heart is Taekwondo. Executive logistics are important, but they should serve our real mission, which is help everyone grow, thrive, and love the sport the way we do. And that's all.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you, Devin and Queenie. Big round of applause for them as well. Thank you, thank you. And then last but not least, now we're going to pass it over to Anna, our other presidential candidate.
All right, hello everyone. Just a quick introduction about me. I was your past vice president internal, where I manage operations, finances, and events. All right, let's get into the speech. So when I first stepped onto the training mats of UTTO, I had one simple goal: to learn how to protect myself in a new environment far from family and home. What I didn't expect was finding a tight-knit community that challenged me, supported me, and helped me grow. Back then, the club was small and the floor was hard, but the friendships I built made every practice worthwhile. By the end of my first year, this wasn't just a club I wanted to be a part of, it was a club I wanted to help build. As director of communications, I took action, but I wanted to do more. I saw a club with so much potential, yet still facing obstacles in teamwork, instructional quality, and operational effectiveness. I knew UTTO deserved better, and I was ready to fight for it. And that's why I stepped up this year as vice president, spearheading real, measurable change. I established co-curricular recognition and bell testing certificates, doubled the number of events, scaling them for larger audiences, and launching UTTO's first ever gala and Christmas banquet. I advocated for more class times and locations, expanding presence at SMC, and boosted club efficiency by 70%, like establishing a financial system. My past 3 years of experience in practically every aspect of UTTO, alongside my leadership impact, all prove my ability to deliver a better, more united UTTO for all of you. But I am not done yet. If selected president, I will build on this momentum and make changes to spur club growth. This means clear class schedules and plans designed in advance by instructors, ensuring optimal use of class time and clear progress. Added focuses on the core Taekwondo foundation, strengthening core muscles, flexibility, agility, and endurance, and standardized skill evaluations with instructor feedback, allowing students to track progress and understand exactly how to improve. And lastly, more class times and locations to accommodate to the diversity of schedules students have. UTTO is not just a club. It is a family, a legacy, a place where every student should feel empowered to succeed. I have supported UTTO through some of the toughest times. I have led, strengthened, and expanded this community with current President Mayushan and co-VP Zishan. The legacy we left over the past year will be continued, and I am ready to take the next step. Let's build UTTO together. Are you with me? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Anna. A big round of applause. Okay. All right. So I hope that everyone has had the opportunity to sort of listen to our candidates. I'm going to start our Q&A session off by asking some questions, and then we'll proceed to inner candidate questioning, and then we'll pass it off to our general members after. So I'm going to start off by asking, what would you guys all define as the primary objective of your campaign? You guys did touch on a few points during your speeches, but if you were to synthesize it into a single phrase, single sentence to communicate clearly at this very moment to all of our members, how would you define your campaign? And I'll start with Melody for this one.
All right. So my primary objective is to find a strong balance between productivity and fun, so our club can stay efficient, organized, and goal-driven for both the team and the community.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. And then I'm going to pass this over to Queenie and Devin now.
Okay, I'll take this one. So for us, at the end of the day, UTTO is a Taekwondo club at its first and at its core. So that means our goal and our core objective is to teach, train, and foster love for Taekwondo for all of our students.
Thank you. Okay. And then we'll pass it over to Anna.
All right, so to stay strong, we're going to have more formal curriculums and a better class structure, but also to support this Taekwondo, make it more fun, we're going to increase community building.
Perfect. Thank you all very much. Okay. My next question. So a big point that I've understood as a weakness for our club this year was with respects to the efficiency of event generation and execution. So, with that being said, what are some concrete steps that you guys would like to take in order to improve on the event life cycle for the next year? And this time I'm going to start with Queenie and Devin. So, how would you improve on events?
So for events, two of the I would say, I'm not going to say most successful, but two of the major events that happened in UTTO were actually organized by Deven and I independently. So both the UTS fundraiser and grappling club events were directed, executed to benefit our students. So to raise $1,500 and to increase engagement. So we learned a lot from this experience about the need for both initiative and communication. So we will definitely set up better cross-department briefings so innovation never comes at the cost of teamwork, and we'll just make more events like this.
Perfect. Thank
Adding
you.
on to that, wait, can I
Sure.
go?
Yeah, of course.
So
Go
adding
ahead.
on to that, we're also going to try and leverage more connections with other clubs. So we already have a strong relationship with U of T Grappling, and we want to continue building that relationship so that our students, their students, we can all have great experiences and great inter-club events together. And we want to leverage more connections with other clubs like U of T Karate and other clubs around U of T that we can continue to grow and build this community around U of T and UTTO.
Thank you, Devin. Okay, and then I'll pass this next to Anna.
All right, so well, as vice president internal this year, where I did lead events, at first we were really running events to really get people to know about the club. And these events like the Halloween party, the Christmas banquet, there was a lot of a high number of show up, and everyone who went gave really good feedback that it was, really fun, really new. And starting into the second semester in the winter, we kind of focused on instead of running events for events, why don't we have a goal for each event? And so we wanted to run events that is not just for social, but that event members can also gain something out of it, like the Work Hard, Play Hard week. And through running these events, planning them, making the proposal, meeting with the events team, what I would say is the biggest change I'd make is to have not just one events director, but to have a whole events team where we have a specific member that does the marketing, does the Instagram posts, and just for events. And so this is not an external department. This is in the events department. We have a member that does specifically the proposal, and these are interchangeable. Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. And then I'll pass this over to Melody now.
Yeah, so UTDO had so many successful events, and one of the ones that I found were so successful was Work Hard, Play Hard, as Anna mentioned earlier. So one of the aspects that I found were very helpful was that there was both an in-person aspect and a social media aspect. And being the content director or the content creator for UTTO, I found so much more engagement on our social medias with people asking us, hey, how do I participate? Or, oh, what is this about? Just through having this social media aspect as well. And furthermore, this also considers people who live further away, such as in Scarborough and maybe not in downtown. And this really widens our reach. So one thing I would like to introduce is having a wider reach for our events and also moving from a single events director model to an events team. So this will help distribute tasks more evenly, lessen the stress on any one person, and keep ideas fresh and flowing. I'd like to support the buddy system that Queenie and Devin had mentioned earlier by supporting their co-presidency. One thing I found being the content director was there were waves of high and low activity. And having the buddy system, or even like the teams, as Anna had mentioned, would really lessen the stress on any one individual and make the event planning process much smoother and less stressful.
Perfect. Thank you, Melody. And then the last question I have for all of our candidates. So we had an incredibly successful year. We did a complete 180 in our finances, going from a net negative every year to actually making a revenue this year. We were able to foster a very strong community within UTTO. And for a lack of a better word, as an exec team, we were able to revive a dying club. And it's thanks to the efforts of each and every one of you that this was possible. Now, how do you guys plan on continuing the growth that we've seen in the past year? What is specifically an ambitious goal that you have set for your administration to accomplish within the 2025-2026 academic year? And one more time to reiterate, what is the big goal that you have behind your mission? And I'm going to start with Anna for this one.
Well, so being in this club for 3 years, I've really seen where we need to improve on. And I feel just like Mayushan said, we were saving it from like a dying club. We've really improved it a lot from how it was. And I think one thing that, or the major thing that I think needs a lot of improvement for this coming year is the class system and to have a more formal curriculum and more structure and like advanced class schedules so that students can see what's gonna be shown in class. And how to improve this or something to add more color to these classes is I think that we could have master-led sessions where we could invite masters from other dojans in to lead certain sessions, but also to have like a progress tracker where we would evaluate students' initial sport skill. And then throughout, like every 3 weeks or every 4 weeks, we will have instructors evaluate their skill again to check their progress so that we know that solid improvement is happening. Yes.
Thank you, Anna. And then I'll pass it off to Melody now.
So with UTTO, the central idea is Taekwondo, and I'd like to spread the reach of Taekwondo by both fueling the passion that the students have in the classes through whether it's community building or with the success of the advanced classes this year, or by doing collaborations with other clubs such as Karate Club or Grappling Club, as the other presidential candidates have mentioned. Um, One of the largest things, though, is I'd like to introduce Taekwondo to those who haven't tried before, as many of the people that I've interacted with say they have an interest in Taekwondo, but they find it so intimidating to start out. So introducing a class where it could be very beginner friendly, like beginner centered, would be one of the things I'd like to push for. And this would also allow community members who are maybe higher ranks, such as black belts, to aid in guiding them, helping them, and just being support for our new beginners.
Thank you, Melody. Okay, and then lastly, Queenie and Devin.
Devin, you want to go first?
Sure. So for us, we kind of have two really big things we want to focus on, and there are two of us, so we have the people to focus on more things and trying to achieve more for the club. So for us, one of our biggest goals is to really focus in on the students and be able to provide more events for you guys, more collaborations. And we want to take you guys past from just being UTTO a club, but into a whole UTTO Taekwondo community. And off to Queenie.
Okay, so building off of what Anna actually mentioned about having masters brought to like our classes and teaching maybe like a master class situation, we're thinking of high performance teams because we already have a lot of really high skilled sparring players. And I actually, because I live in Scarborough, I needed to reach out to Taekwondo studios around the area just to find places to train. So I actually have connections with Team Canada, a national Korean coach, and national Hong Kong coaches, and we've like spoken. They are willing to host master classes for people who are like really into Taekwondo, so like Pumse master classes, sparring master classes. So that's something that I really want to bring for our athletes next year. And the big goal, the most ambitious, I think would be to take us to nationals. So bigger scale competitions.
Perfect. Thank you, Queenie. Now I'll open up the floor for our candidates to ask each other questions. So we'll start off. I'll give the first question to Anna. So Anna, you may ask your other candidates first.
All right, so my first question is towards Devin and Queenie. So in your mission statement, you said that you would guarantee more inter-university events, competitions for high-performance athletes, and fun and low-pressure activities. Because these events are already a part of UTTO and are increasing, what improvements or new elements do you guys plan to add to this core element of your presidential platform? Also, what is your concrete plan on doing this?
So, in terms of a concrete plan, we already have the mechanisms laid out by the club in the last year, and we can just continue to build on those mechanisms and use what we already have in place to try and create more events, more opportunities, and more places to build these strong connections. In terms of what we're going to add new things, we are thinking maybe having demo performances where we can all show our skills with the other universities or other inter-club events that involve Taekwondo, like tournaments and training camps that we already have. But we only had one training camp and one tournament. Why should we limit ourselves to just one event? We want to have more. We would like to have two, maybe three training camps or two, maybe three inter-club tournaments.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Devin and Queenie. Okay. This time I'll pass it over to Devin and Queenie. You guys can ask Anna or Melody your next question.
So our next question is mostly for Anna. How do you plan to foster UTTO students' development and provide them with the technical expertise needed for belt testing and competitions?
Thank you for the question. So I think what I'd like to make clear first is that this is like a presidential candidacy election. And so the presidential role fits more on the operational side of UTTO. And so as the past VP working closely with the current president, Mayushan, I have seen the key traits that a president needs, right? Strategic planning, vision execution, leadership, and strong operational skill set, right? We're running for president, not head coach. And we have really strong instructors, right? Like you, Queenie and Deven, Jocelyn, Yusuf. And this is something that the instructors can carry out very well, and I will be in support. And on top of that, I have years of experience in Taekwondo and also 3 years in UTTO's classes. So I do know all the inner workings of Taekwondo. And so my knowledge base is well-rounded. And also being a student in class, having personally experienced these classes, I can see what are what students need to improve on, what are the differences in skill level between the higher belts, the middle belts, and the lower belts, right? Because as instructors, you guys are instructors, and similar to how like a professor, sometimes there are professors that aren't able to see all the weaknesses of their students, even if they are professors and they were once students. Me being in these classes and experiencing all of them and interacting with these students and serving, asking them for feedback. I think from this, I am able to help foster. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Anna. And then I'll pass it over to Melody. Did you want to ask a question, Melody?
Yes, so one of the questions I actually have for both candidates actually would be how would you ensure that there is a balance between training and socials so that there is both the feeling of, yes, we are a Taekwondo club, but yes, we are also a community.
And I'll let Queenie and Devin answer this one first.
In terms of ensuring a balance between trainings and socials, actually, I feel like it's something that um we don't need to push on as hard because our Discord group, they're actually already doing really great on organizing their own socials and just building a community by themselves. But our plan is to keep regular classes and like bell prep the main priority. And obviously, we're gonna add the casual socials that we already have had this year. And outdoor activities, we're thinking of like a picnic potluck situation. But anyway, students would have to stay focused on their trainings, but still have a space to bond and relax outside of practice.
Thank you. Anna?
All right, so I think that we already have a balance between training and socials, and due to the weak community that we had, we wanted to strengthen it by having socials that were um, more not always like about Taekwondo, to also get to know our members a lot closer in a extracurricular side. But then if we wanted to really increase this balance, what we could do is also to host socials or events that are also Taekwondo related, like workshops. A self-defense workshop was something that we were thinking about for the future. Yes.
Perfect. Thank you. And then we'll do one more question from each candidate. So this time I'll let Queenie and Devin ask the first question.
Okay, so this one's for Anna. So building strong relationships with students often happens through classes, tournaments, and social events. Just through this year, you've been a bit absent for this. So how do you plan on creating a genuine correct connection with UTTO students when it requires the leader to consistently attend these events?
Thank you, Queenie, for the question. So I have been actively attending classes. Um, and so I have also had experience with these students and talking with them, getting to know them, right? And that's how I get feedback, how I get their feedback on how classes are going. But I also enhance my out of class experience with these students too in events, right? By hosting the Halloween party, the Christmas banquet, the pub night. This is my way of getting to know them better. Because for me, I feel in Taekwondo class, yes, we do want to get to know these students, but everyone is also focusing on improving their Taekwondo skill. So I don't want to include too much of a social aspect, too strong of a social aspect and mingling aspect in classes. What I think in classes we should do is support each other in improving Taekwondo. And so this is why I usually would when I have a partner in Taekwondo, I would look at how they're doing their moves and say, oh, hey, I think you could do this, or more of interacting on a Taekwondo way.
Thank you, Anna. And then I'll let you, Anna, ask the next question to Queenie and Devin.
All right, so my last question is also for Devin and Queenie. So from my knowledge, both of your UTTO experience comes from being an instructor rather than being on the executive team. Further, if I remember correctly, Queenie, you are going into your second year of U of T, and Devin, your third. What is your plan to overcome this significant learning curve from being an instructor versus being an executive? And do you have any past achievements of UTTO that can back up your plans for presidency?
So, I mean, this is a very easy question to answer because not only were Queenie and I instructors, but we also spearheaded multiple events for the club. I personally took point on planning and organizing the collaboration with U of T Grappling. Queenie solely spearheaded the collaboration with UTS. And she was also the director of sponsorship. So it's not fair to Queenie to call her just an instructor. She also held a very critical managerial role on our executive team. So we already do have, and we have demonstrated that we have the skills and the ability to provide students with everything they're looking for in UTTO as a club. However, when we're instructors, that is not what we expect our instructors to do. So us as instructors, we have gone above and beyond for the club. I've also been in charge of leading people and taking the traveling groups to tournaments and helped with planning those. So we haven't just been instructors, we also do a lot for the club outside of that, going above and beyond our expectations as instructors and being somebody that our community can rely on, the UTTO students can rely on, and helping shape the community in a way that we want it to grow.
And just building on what Deven said, not only was I an instructor at the St. George campus for UTTO, we also opened up Taekwondo classes at the Toronto Pan Am Center at University of Toronto Scarborough. So I also had to email the people organizing it. We had to create a class plan. And while we have not held the top executive roles, Devin and I believe leadership is measured by impact and not just hierarchy. So our work on, the UTS fundraiser, the grappling club, it raised $1,500 for UTTO and our athletes, and it brought new energy to the club. So we didn't need a title to lead this year, and that's what we can do without official power. It's just like imagine what we can do with like presidential roles.
Okay, thank you, Queenie and Devin. And I'll let Melody ask one final question and then we'll pass it off to the floor.
Yes. So one of the things that I noticed as part of the executive team was that there was a large divide between the external team and the internal team. Like, like being a member of the external team, I felt like we didn't really know what the internal team was doing or what events were going on or how to even support them. So as president, how would you kind of go around this? How would you make the communication more easy and make sure that no one is left in the dark?
Uh, would either of the candidates like to take lead on this question? Anyone want to go first?
We can go first. So for us, Queenie and I actually particularly disliked dividing our executive team into external and internal. And that's one of the things that we thought was creating that divide because you guys were separated. So we want to completely scrap separating things into internal and external. And we want to have one stronger, more cohesive unit of an exec team. We also want to have a stronger connection between instructors and execs. And we want to have everybody on the same page and on board with everything that's happening in the club.
So just like we said, one of our main points in the 2025-2026 year is building on community. So we're just gonna get rid of the internal and external divide and also introduce the buddy system.
Okay, thank you. And Anna?
All right. So so the executive year where we were saying that YouTube was a dying club, that was when there was no internal and external, and there was only directors. And this actually, from experience, caused more isolation because each director didn't know who to go to. And there was just a VP and a president. And so we introduced this internal external system. And like I said, the effectiveness of internal management highly increased. Operational effectiveness was increased as well. And any past member who rejoined our club this year can attest to this, that this system's working really well. And what I think that I would do to specifically answer Melody's question in terms of events is, like I said, we would have, instead of like an external and internal collaboration in terms of events, we will have a separate events team where there will be one person events that is specifically going to be responsible for marketing, social media, and anything related to like socials, so that there isn't this completely new department coming in during the really end of our event planning. And also what I was thinking was that we could have more let's say more separate teams so that such as like a lead finance or a lead events and then a lead like photography and media so that these are more specialized so that everyone knows what they need to do. Um, and I think that this will better increase efficiency of the club.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Anna. And I will pass it over. I think Melody wanted to ask a follow-up, so I'll give it to Melody.
Yes, just to follow up on Anna's idea of splitting into teams, I was wondering how that would actually build the team morale more. As I understand that this year we introduced the internal external system, and I found as a member of the external team that we felt excluded from the internal team with a lot of your internal team only socials, and with our external team socials, internal team members were also invited. So I was wondering, like, how would you build this team morale by splitting us into even further groups? And I don't know. When I heard that we were split into more teams, I felt even more people could be left in the dark, not really knowing what's going on, especially being the content creator. I was tasked with knowing a lot about what events were going on, so I could be prepared to create the events. But with your splitting into teams, I felt I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I can't make things with a dead schedule or a tight schedule. So, how would you essentially alleviate this team morale building and ensure that no more splitting of this team would go on?
I'd like to address the internal events and external events first. So the initial goal for having internal external, this was so that more voices can be heard, right? Because if everyone's trying to get their ideas to one president, one VP, the VP and president, they have limited time and resources to address everyone's wants. And so by having an external lead and an internal lead, we can hear our members' voices. So they have someone who they know is their first source of contact, and then we will relay this to the president so that we can come together to make these major decisions and changes to advance the club. And these internal events, these were not internally, like let's say the afternoon tea for like an internal department lunch or something like that. These were made to acknowledge internal executive accomplishments and to give them a like a reward, a thank you for all your work, right? And I don't think that I can be always including external because I need to respect that the lead for external is Zishan, and he should be able to make the major decisions for the external team. And if I go into the external team and start talking, this will not be respectful to my partner, Zishan, right? And the thing is, we have been using Slack, and I have been myself adding people from an external team into the internal Slack. And here we share all of the things, all the tasks that each member are doing. And for tasks that external members can come on in, I would clearly indicate, hey, external members who want to come, please feel free to join this. Here are tasks that can be done. And for the internal dinner, I actually did send an invite to external members to say, hey, external members, feel free to join us, feel free to get to know us better, right? So the thing is, the big disconnect you're talking about, I think is more about not checking internal Slack messages or not checking internal Slack messages for updates instead of a disconnect. And also, if we're going to jumble all of these people together, I think it's more of going to be everyone wants to know things, everyone wants to like do something, but then there's a lot of thought but no action. And that was the biggest issue of having simply directors, VP president in the past year. Everyone speaks in meetings, but there is lots of talk, no action, right? And if you think like, is it really important for everybody to know what's happening every single week in a department, right? Um, that would be a lot to think about, and that would actually take a lot of just mental capacity. and that would actually decrease productivity of members. So if you want to know anything about that's happening in the club, it's always there. You guys have access to everything. We also have a big management task management Excel sheet that tells you what's happening in each department, because we label it instructor, um, external, internal, and we also put prioritization, and we put like who's in charge. If you want to help, talk to this person. So I don't think that this is an issue, and we have been working well.
Thank you, Anna. And I wanted to ask a question to Queenie and Devin. So actually on the topic of this divide, I think personally that having some sort of a structure, like Anna mentioned, could be of use, because we've known from previous years that having members or exec team just in their siloed roles without any sort of structure could allow for people to get isolated and to feel like they don't have a sense of what they need to get done. So, how would you guys try to implement some level of structure? Because I do think it is fundamentally important for there to be structure to the team.
Okay, so when we talked about abolishing the internal-external divide, that's also why we brought up the buddy system. And it just will also create some like specialized committees maybe that focus on tasks. For example, in Slack, right? We've got like the internal group chat, the external group chat, and like the really fun thing was I just joined all the chats anyway because I wanted to know what was going on. So I like that we have groups. I just think that we should have committees for specific tasks. And if you're interested, you can join that group chat and just know what's going on. And it just also, we're gonna have two presidents anyway. It wouldn't be like one president feeling like everyone's going to them because they don't know what they're doing. And we're gonna have a team and committees, and just if you're interested, you should be able to go. Because this year, one of the things that I really admire about Mayushan is just how he was like so transparent about everything, and just everyone, if they wanted to know what was going on, they can just ask and they would know. So by having these like committee group chats and just joining if you want to know, like the information will always be there.
Thank you, Queenie. Okay, so I guess we'll wrap up the inter Q&A and I'll pass it over to the floor. So if anyone would like to ask any questions, please feel free to just raise your hand or drop it in the Q&A. And this question will direct towards our presidential candidates. So yeah, between the two candidates, please feel free to answer. But yeah, again, I think the Q&A is live, so please feel free to just drop any questions in there. We'll give it 3, 4 minutes. We'll see if any questions come up. But yeah, otherwise, please feel free to private message. The chat is open, so any sort of question you have. Okay, I think we have one from Michael. Okay.
Yo, uh, I must say, good job to everyone with your speeches. Type shit, type shit. Um, well, my first question was, what is one thing you would do to like help bring further reach for UTTO to like everybody else in like U of T?
Could you repeat the question one more time, Michael?
Yes. So like, how would you like promote Taekwondo to like everyone else, like other students in U of T?
Okay, great question. I'll let Melody take first crack at this question. I know you have to go soon, so might as well let you answer first.
Yes, so in terms of increasing reach, we actually increased reach, like in regards to social media, by, I believe, 138% just from this past semester. And I don't have the stats on me since Instagram does delete them after 3 months, but I like just based on looking at our insights in terms of the amount of likes and shares and saves, not based on like the actual percentages, but just seeing the growth in that already proves that a lot of reach is increased. So I hope to continue this momentum through the filming the reels after class and also increasing our story activity, as I know that boosted a lot of our like replies to our stories, increasing the questions asked, and also, as I mentioned in my speech, the merch, as so many people, they will walk up to you if they see you have cool merch. I know at my old Taekwondo school, when I was repping their merch, they asked me, "Oh, what is this for?" And when I said Taekwondo, they were like, I want to try this out too. So those are the two things that I would like to continue in regards to our reach. And the third one would be more club collaborations. I've already reached out to Karate Club, which is run by one of my close friends, and he's already interested in it. One of the professors managing immersivity, he's already interested in collaboration over summer. And I know the Bioinformatics Student Union, they are so interested in having more physical activities instead of just study sessions all day. And just the combination of these three events will surely improve the reach of Taekwondo and make sure that students all over, not just the U of T student, or not just UTTO students, not just U of T students, but all of Okta will be able to appreciate Taekwondo more.
Thank you, Melody. I know you said you had to go, so if you need to, please feel free. But for the students, I just wanted to say OCTA stands for the Ontario Collegiate Taekwondo Association. So this is our collaboration with the other universities to try to sort of have a foundational program that caters to our high performance athletes and just co-curricular events that sort of engage the other universities as well. But yeah, now I'll pass it over to Anna to answer.
All right, so I have a similar response to Melody, but also a lot to add on. But I do want to thank Melody for having increased our social impact, social media impact, because that really helps us a lot and actually continues what me and Zishan did as co-communications directors in the past year. Like she said, adding members to OCTA, so university Taekwondo clubs, making this bigger to have more events there. But I think that on executive team side, we could also have year reps. This is something that's very popular between other clubs, and this is something that we could add to UFT, UTTO. And having year reps, they can spread the word, right, from year one, year two, year three, year four, or year five, and grad students, which can greatly increase our our name and what we do and Taekwondo to people. But also, like I said, we could have workshops, right? These workshops like self-defense or just intro Taekwondo can allow those who are a bit shy to or think Taekwondo's a little fierce to just try it out, right? Because these workshops are open to all students. Yeah.
Thank you, Anna. And one more time. Oh, one second. I'll pass it over to Queenie and Devin, but just as a reminder, if you have any questions, please feel free to use the Q&A feature or raise your hand, and we will try to answer. But yeah, Queenie and Devin, please proceed.
So for us, the biggest things we want to do to foster community at U of T is number one, increasing the amount of inter-club events, right? This last year, the only inter-club event we had was U of T Grappling, which was spearheaded by myself. And we want to have more events than that. So we want to be able to connect with other clubs at U of T and not just have UTTO be this little club in its own bubble. The next thing that's going to be a big thing is continuing to sustain the social media growth that Melody has put down this year, which she's done a phenomenal job at. And we also want to hold more accessible training sessions because currently Heart House is very expensive and very high commitment. And that's very daunting for a lot of students who want to come in and try Taekwondo. And we also want to have beginner specific classes so that people who don't feel comfortable or confident in their abilities and being around very technically skilled and proficient athletes, I want to have a place where they can try out their try out Taekwondo and try and learn something new, that we can have the opportunity and provide what they're looking for in the club so that everyone at U of T can hopefully become more involved with UTTO or have opportunity to join UTTO.
Thank you, Devin. Okay. So we have a question from Alok first. He wanted to ask about the buddy system. So I will just read it out loud. Not clear about the buddy system. Is the idea for execs to be buddies, or is it for general members in class too, like buddies between new members and veteran members? I'll pass this one to Devin and Queenie because I think it was more so from your structure.
So the buddy system was because the way you became an exec at UTTO was you had to go through quite a rigorous interview process. So we would like to maybe keep it towards the exec, or we can open it up to more of a team role where there would be a director of some department, and then anyone else who was interested, they could join the team maybe. And then just because the way we want this to work is that executives don't feel overwhelmed to the point where they have to skip their Taekwondo training classes just to fulfill their roles, but also to, if our current director wants to graduate or retire, we have someone to fill that role. So we'll definitely think and plan more on that, but this is like an idea that I'm really excited to
Yeah, so
flesh out.
just to hold on to that, our core idea with the buddy system is number one, taking some of the burden off. Because if one person is trying to manage all of some task by themselves, that's a lot to do, right? If one person is trying to be completely responsible for UTTO's finances, that is a very hard task. So the buddy system lets other execs in the exec team, number one, help whoever is the main lead on finance, but also have somebody to help finance specifically. So we're going to take burden off of just one director, and we're going to spread that load across the team. And that's what that buddy system is. So number one, the team is more cohesive as a unit because people can help each other out. And number two, there's less burden on every individual team member because people can help each other out.
Okay, thank you for your response. And in that answer, I do want to say we have our Director of Finance, Tyson, in the chat. So just thank you. We understand it was a great amount of work, and thank you for all your hard work over the past year. But with that being said, Anna, would you like to add anything to that?
Yeah, so like the buddy system, well, in my speech, I did talk about more general member involvement, right? And to expand on this, because I think that you guys would like to know, is opportunities like volunteer opportunities, mentorship opportunities, and this would look like members, general members, or NUT students involved or interested in Taekwondo. They can sign up to volunteer for certain events that we host, like a fundraiser, or help plan events so that they can be more involved and get to know how UTTO works at the core. Mentorship opportunity would be kind of like the buddy system, like we would pair up people to like sparring partners or any exec interested in this to just have a buddy or just a friend to do something with. And something else that I have been thinking of to more of give flexibility and adaptability to the exec system is to open the exec positions application to a longer time. And for this, it's not that we won't have set execs early on. It's more of we have set execs that we decide down in August, right? They get interviewed. But then for new members who just come in and who didn't know about UTTO early in August, they will be able to also apply. And this is more of when we see, hey, so let's say like they talked about finances. Well, even if Tyson has been doing an awesome job in finances, let's say that he's like, hey, probably I would like somebody to help me with this like balance sheet making or financial analysis. Or like Akshaya, who is our events director, said, hey, it'd be nice to have somebody to come in. Well, this way, when we have elections opened, exec positions, applications opened longer, when we need some new members to help, we can interview them at a later date. And so that it's a more flexible, adaptable executive system. You're
Sorry,
muted.
good there. But thank you, Anna. Okay, we have another question. Tyson.
All right. This one's for the presidential candidates. This year's classes and in this debate, I've heard a lot about beginners and black belts and advanced students, but what about everyone else? How will you ensure that the intermediate students continue to develop their skills and rank up? Because I didn't see that much focus on the intermediate students, like green belt through to brown belt and blue belt, and even up to red belts this year.
I'll let Anna take this question first.
All right, thank you for the question, Tyson. So, well, I myself am an intermediate belt, and so I have experienced the middle, like where it's one sparring lessons or the Pimp is very suited or targeted for the high performance athletes, and where a lot of instructor time is put to the white belts, yellow belts, and so I did feel like I was not improving as fast. And this is why I wanted to introduce like a skill test system or progress tracker, like I said in my speech. And this allows us to have each student get personalized time from instructors to get feedback on what they should improve on each aspect of their Taekwondo foundations, Pumse, or sparring, so that when instructors are working with other students, they can take this personalized feedback and work on it. And then each week or every 3 weeks, instructors will get personal time, or students will get personal time with an instructor to check up on their improvements to see if what are the next steps. This way, even if we are working as a team, each student also knows exactly what they need to improve on so that they aren't just looking at others and just going with the crowd. Yes. So that we could have solid progress.
Thank you. Devin and Queenie?
Also building on that, just because both Devin and I are instructors, so Taekwondo is like the kind of training that we do in the UTTO classes. It's not as belt specific as I think we're making it, because at the core of it, sparring is really just cardio and Pumse is really just knowing which angles are correct. So the way I teach Pumse is I do make everyone go into lines and do like the most basic motions, low blocks, middle blocks, high blocks, just so they get the correct angles into their muscle memory. So everyone does benefit from like the most fundamental training, and even black belts will do this kind of stuff. And I'm just gonna hand it to Devin.
So yeah, for us, between me and Queenie, right, we are both instructors. So we've been able to take that step and hold your guys' hand and lead you through your development. And part of that is what we find so interesting about intermediate students. And we didn't really talk about this too much, but for intermediate students, you guys are the stepping stone between beginner and advanced. So what this means for you guys is that you benefit a lot from having that basic fundamental training to shore up all of your basics in Taekwondo, but you can also benefit from advanced training where you have the skills enough to learn and appreciate and take in these advanced techniques and add it to your craft. So by us increasing availability for beginners and advanced students, we actually give the most advantage to intermediate students because they can take the most advantage of all of these classes, right? Intermediate students who came to our advanced Pumse class saw great leaps in their Pumse performance. And the students who came to our advanced sparring classes saw great leaps in their advanced sparring techniques. And that's the kind of goal we want to have for our intermediate students, being able to provide them with the opportunities to work on the things that they have a more basic fundamental understanding and improve that to proficient level, but also challenge themselves and grow into more advanced and technical players.
Thank you. Thank you, Devin. Okay. We have another question. Arshia, please feel free to unmute and ask your question.
Hi. So, as a general member who has been attending classes this past year, I've noticed that a lot of classes tend to get very crowded. And while all of our presidential candidates have talked about wanting to generate more interest in Taekwondo, hopefully getting more people to join the club, I'm wondering if anyone has a plan to kind of create more physical space for classes so that the rooms don't get crowded, or so that people don't feel like there's too many people in one class and there's not enough time for them to work on what they want to.
Before any of the candidates dive in, this is an excellent question. I just do want to say the restriction imposed by Hart House. So Hart House is the one that sets that to 40 students. So unfortunately, that is a little bit beyond our control in order to sort of contract that number or expand, and even getting extra classes within Hart House. It's a logistical nightmare. So I do want to say that it's not entirely on a single candidate. That's why we were fortunate enough this year to get our St. Mike's classes running to sort of help alleviate some of that pressure, which we noticed because students were trying to come to those Mondays and Tuesdays to get their specialized practice in. So I just do want to say a lot of it is on Heart House in order to sort of set the schedule and how many people we're allowed to have. But with that being said, I'll let the instructors weigh in with their opinions. And we'll start with Queenie and Devin for this one.
So just adding on to that, I did mention that I reached out to some Taekwondo studios. Just it was mostly around UTSC, but I did find some near downtown. We can organize to host classes in their spaces if needed. That's all I'm going to say for now.
Okay. Devin, did you want to add anything, or should we go to Anna?
Uh, I can add a little bit, but yeah, again, most of that it's just logistics. So for us, we haven't really done anything because we're not presidents yet. But when we are, if we are elected, then we're going to try and take those steps, like as Queenie was mentioning, collaborating with nearby dojangs. And our house is a bit difficult to work with, and St. Mike's is a very small space. So things are a little bit limited from that perspective. So what we're going to do is try and find more opportunities and avenues for students to train.
Thank you, Devin. And now Anna.
Thank you, Rashia, for this question. This is actually something that Mayushan, Dijon, and me, we've been working on. And like Mayushan said, we need to have at least 20 students in class to even start the class. So this is something that we really prioritized this year so that you guys could just get a class, right? But what we have been doing as an improvement from last year really is that we have gotten SMC club recognition. And this means that we have access to SMC classes, which really opened up our space. And we have been in communication with SMC to have more time slots and to have more time slots so that different students can go to different times that work better so that we could have more more space. And we have been in contact with kinesiology department actually because we wanted to get the athletic center their dance studio. This is actually where karate hosts their taekwondo, their karate classes, and so that is in progress. We have also been in contact with varsity to try to have access to varsity spaces. So as you can see, we've been really pushing for this, and we hope the best happens for that. But also something that we could do, like if we only had her house, is let's say we can split the class into two, right? And then when one group is doing training, where we could also use like her house gym or her house running the loop to run, we could like use those spaces to do our training so that when students are using, let's say, the gym at her house to strengthen or for cardio, the other group is ongoing some Taekwondo teaching or learning, and this will help to give more space to students while also increasing efficiency.
Okay, thank you, Anna. Did anyone else have any other questions or concerns they would like to ask? We are a little bit over time, so if there are any other concerns, please feel free to also just ask it on our social medias or email us. We could sort of post some of the responses from our candidates onto our stories if needed. So definitely your concerns are very important to us. So we'd be more than happy to sort of still continue to answer it throughout the election periods. With that being said, thank you very much. I know it was a bit of a debating session that we had just now. So thank you to all of our candidates. And I do want to say that I support all of our candidates to the fullest of my belief. And regardless of whichever candidate we end up going with, I will assure that, you know, you guys get my full support. And I'll continue to sort of provide whatever help I could in the coming year as well. So with that being said, Ishan, perfect. Thank you very much. He has put the voting link in the chat, so please feel free to directly use it. It should be open right now. If it's not, just message in the chat so we're aware. But yeah, everyone else, thank you so much for coming. You guys are free to go. Please feel free to use this link, or you could just go onto our Instagram, and you could find the link tree, and then we have it in our link tree. For ease of access, Ishan has also created this lovely QR code. So feel free to just scan it off of your phone, and you could submit your votes ASAP. And as a reminder, so it's open to all U of T students to vote. So as long as you have a user ID, then you are good to go. So please make sure, take your time, vote. Everything will be completely anonymous. And we appreciate your time and your concern for our organization. So with that being said, thank you all very much, and I hope you all have a great rest of your Sunday. Take care, everyone.
The candidates are allowed to vote too, right? Since everyone can vote once.
What was your question? Sorry.
And I was just asking Mayushan if the candidates like you guys are allowed to vote or not.
Sorry, I was
Oh,
answering, but I was muted. Yes, of course, everyone has the ability to vote. Yeah, I think we kicked off everyone who is not exec, so just exec team now. So yeah, thank you all. I know that was a great, line of questioning, and everyone is asking these questions because you guys are genuinely concerned and you guys are very interested in the club. So I thank you all for your time and the effort and initiative. I know it's not easy, especially, being put on the spot to answer some of these questions. So thank you guys. But minus that, again, in 2 days, we'll sort of get the results. So the process going forward will be until I guess 3:30 on the 29th, the voting will be open. And then afterwards, we'll get our results. And then Isha, myself, Mateen, and Tyson will go through and just make sure that everything is consistent. The forms, so we're using like it can't be gamed. You have to have a user ID, like you have to log in with Acorn to even go on. But we don't record names. We keep it anonymous for that reason. But you can only vote once. It tracks your user ID. But we don't have access to it, so we're not obviously going to. It's completely fair. That's what I'm trying to get at. But yeah, minus that, do any of you guys have any questions for me, or are we all good?
Are we gonna post the recording or?
Yes, sorry. Let me cut that first.